Today, I'm going to talk about how, in very simple steps, we can uplevel our AI design workflow from generating images that look something like this to something that is a little bit more like this, just more consistent, on brand, have images that you could post on social media, etc. But first, a little bit about me. Again, I'm Vedi. I have a background in product design and machine learning from Stanford. I've always been very curious about this intersection, and I've been curious about photography since I was a little kid. I always used to go on runs and take images of sunsets from unique angles, and I think that's kind of how I got into the creative side of things, which led me to companies like Emilia Pucci, which is a fashion brand in Florence, to also bigger companies like Adobe. And currently I am at Facet, where we are working on creating the next set of generation tools for designers in a way that's accessible for them. So with that, we could get right into the demo because there's a lot that I want to go over today. So right now it's the new year, and one of my favorite things to do when the year starts is go on Pinterest and look at their trend predictions for the next year. For 2024, they have some really fun ones like cute coins, head to glow, and one of my favorites, Bee Jelly. Not fully sure why this one just really resonates with me, but it's fun. It's bubbly. And what's cool about this is a lot of these trends, they influence the product direction, design, etc. of pretty much everything you'll see across the years, like things like images on social media to different packaging, etc. They really do predict these well. And so something that I thought could be fun for us to try out is pretend that we are a design agency who just got this recent contract for creating a social media campaign for a perfume bottle, but adapting it for this jellyfish trend. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Facet. This is our editor where, or our generative canvas, where on the left side here, you have this really amazing panel that you can use to really create a lot of things. So I'm going to start off with something really simple like product design of a perfume bottle inspired by jellyfish. And I'm going to click generate a few times. One of my favorite things about generative AI is just how many ideas it can present to you and how you can really diverge in your initial stages of product design. Facet, in addition, has this other really cool feature here called Experience Controller, where if you increase it, what it does is it generates a lot more creative images, which in the beginning of my workflows, I like to crank up all the way because, I don't quite have a direction that I'm going for right now. And so let's see, some of these are loading. I'm gonna generate a few more. Some other things that I could do if I wanted to have a little bit more control is I can go over here and I can add an image reference. So the other day I was browsing and I saw this image that I thought was really cool, and I wanted to see, could I incorporate something like this into my social media campaign? Again, this could be sketches you make by yourself or other inspiration photos that you find. But I find using image reference is a really great way of just really pointing the AI generator in whichever direction you're thinking. You can increase the intensity depending on how much or how closely you want the image reference to resemble the output. Could turn it down, etc. While some of those are loading, I'm going to take a look at some of the things we've generated so far. Going to add some of the ones that I like on the canvas. Some funky designs. Here we go. I think this is probably more in line with what I was looking for, where it's a lot more of a minimalist look, which is my personal preference. If I like a certain image, what I can do in order to give myself a little bit more control now that like I've ideated or starting to diverge a little bit, but there is a product direction that is that I find interesting. What I can do is I can click on an image. I could either copy this prompt and paste it over here. What Facet has done for me is it's almost added the story for an initial prompt that I created. Like I didn't really have to do any of the prompting work myself. For those in the back that might not be able to read this, this says a perfume bottle with a curvy, translucent glass body that mimics the graceful movements of a jellyfish. It has more information around the camera type, color grading, color palette, etc. And you could also, a quicker step would be maybe just clicking this more like this button where you're instantly creating something a lot more similar. Let's see. While those are loading, what I might also do is I like this image a lot, actually, so I might use this as an image reference and try out a different direction while we're at it with the prompt that I had before. Keep going through this workflow. Here we go. Here's some pretty similar looking images that I think are quite neat, actually. I'm going to click more like this on some of these just because I like having these generations running as I'm working through other ideas, because one of the things I love about the design process is that like it's messy, and Facet's built in a way that allows me to explore different ideas in parallel at the same time, where one image might inspire the next. I'm going to use this as an image reference now. Maybe crank up the intensity a little bit, lower my variance because I like this direction that it's headed in. And then what you could also do then is you could, since we're creating this social media brand post, we can't just create product imagery. We also have to create like lifestyle, editorial related images that you can post around it in order to really create a specific mood or feel for this campaign that you might put out there. So let's say we kept a lot of this, but instead of a perfume bottle, we put a unique outfit. So just swapping the copy a little bit. I'm going to turn up variance again because we're trying out this new concept. Experiment with different intensity levels. Other things you could experiment with is Facet has these custom models that you can add. These are some that I trained in the past. I trained this one that has this like collage and motion blur kind of feel. I think for outfits that could be fun to experiment with. be more of a collage. See what this is turning. Cool looking hat. Etc. See a bit. Keep going with that a little bit. And then after a while, like after you go through this flow of like ideating on images that you like, you can, and converging on the ones that that really stand out to you, you might end up with something like this, which this was another set of images I was working on before, where I started with this perfume bottle. And I kind of went through that very similar flow where I added it as an image reference or changed up the prompt a little bit to then generating all of these images, which, you know, like Instagram has that 9 image grid. So I feel like this is a pretty good initial attempt at a product direction for a social media campaign. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to export these photos into Facet's very cool image editor, which is also AI-based. And so what's really neat about Facet is I can actually edit all of these images at the same time. And this editor is also content aware. So it gives me a lot of added flexibility and freedom to experiment with things and try them out. One of the first things that I noticed when I look at this is this tub here is the wrong color. I feel like us design folks always get really bothered by those kinds of things. So what I'm going to do is on the right-hand side, I have all of these tools that I can try out. I'm going to go to this tool called Adjust Palette, where I can essentially, like, these are the colors in this image. What I'm going to do, since I want to swap the purple, so I'm going to use a color picker to maybe select one of these pinks. And this tub is now pink, which is nice. I also noticed that these 3 bathroom images have slightly the wrong shade of green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that tool again. That's not the right tool. I'm going to use this one, where I'm just going to take some of the shades of green from this other image here to try to adapt the colors a little bit more. Let's see. And then you can see it actually kind of went the wrong way, but you could adjust the greens to make them match. What you could also do is you could go here into Explore. These are all artist-generated, auto-segmented styles that have been created, where you can browse like different looks and see how these might look. I personally really like the earth tones one because it just creates a more dramatic flair. I'm going to add that into the styles. I might also select my foregrounds. With Facet, you can auto mask, which is really neat. And I click here, and then to my foregrounds layer, I might just bring up the brightness a little bit. Oh, too much. Just a little bit. I quite like adding a noise layer in on my images, just because it gives it a little bit of that grainy look, which I really like. I might add a lookup table just to experiment with more ways of control that I have that down. And then what I could also do if I wanted to is I could then composite different assets that I might have, such as a logo on top of these images that I created to really have a fully on-brand look. Okay, gonna leave that one there. This is one that I was working on before, where I added some more of those logos in there. Where when I first imported these images from the image generator, like while they're all kind of related, they aren't necessarily ready for a campaign that's ready to be published. But with just a few edits, you can really tie all of these concepts together. See, here's another one that I was experimenting with. If you go on Facet's community page, you can also just see a bunch of images for inspiration. These are some others I was working on before. So with that, one of the things that I wanted to chat about really quick is a lot of the times with generative AI and design, we hear this notion of one and done, where there's almost a sentiment of like, you're going to type in a few words and then your magic image will pop out. And you don't necessarily need designers anymore. But the way I see it is it's still very much still an iterative workflow where, like I was able to generate some images initially, but then it takes so much more to then actually have it be something that I want and expresses my own unique vision. And at Facet, one of our core goals has been to really enhance creative workflows instead of creating tooling that's trying to replace creatives. And so I really hope you guys all give image generation tools a try if you haven't yet. I think it's a really great way of just pushing your imagination and creating concepts that you might not have ever thought of before. Thank you. I was actually working on this one the other day where I had generated some really cool images. This is the one that is not going to open. But essentially there was this cactus on top of a bathtub, which you would never have a cactus in a bathtub because that would hurt. And so that's where I think a lot of traditional tools can come really in handy, like some of these retouch tools. Most of like really high quality generated images that you see on social media, there's actually a lot of retouching that goes into those. Like that's where you have these new tools to create something, but then you can also use some of the older ones to balance it. There's also tools such as inpainting, which lets you kind of brush over a section of your image and redo a certain part if something just looks physically incorrect. Yeah, I think Facet can be used for pretty much any niche out there. I see it as more of a general tool where like if you want to use it for fashion, you could use it for fashion, for architecture, portraits, nature-related imagery. I think I have, it's like here's examples of portraits that you could generate. In the past, I was working on some fashion-related imagery, some more landscape-related ones, others that just trying to create something that might not have been seen before. So overall, I'd say general purpose. one key feature that always stands out to me is this variance slider right here, which I think goes really in line with as you're creating something, what you naturally tend to do, or like in the design process, you naturally tend to diverge on ideas, and then you converge, and then you diverge a little bit more, and then you converge, and it's like this endless loop until you run out of time, basically. And so I think it's really neat how not only can you expand here, but then we also built in features like generate more like this, or like giving you the option of seeing the entire prompt that was generated, so that you have full control over being able to remix something and really make it your own. Probably some of the ones that would really stand out to me. We have an artist community from across the world. If you go on our website, you can join our Discord, where you can connect with more of these folks. It makes time zones interesting sometimes when trying to hop on collaboration calls. But yeah, I've been fortunate to have a pretty global audience at the moment. I think one aspect that I didn't touch on that is really helpful with integrating into professional workflows is this entire canvas here. It's actually collaborative. So what I could do is I could share this link with anyone, and we could all log in and co-create on this canvas together. We could add comments like, that's not right. It's like, I like this one a little bigger. And then use this as a space to make decisions, etc. In terms of integrating with other workflows, like other tooling, that's an area we've been looking more into, and I'm definitely very curious to learn more maybe later about how you think Facet could integrate with those tools, because that's definitely an area of expansion for us. I guess in some ways, Facet is, or like our logo for a long time is like a diamond, because there's so many different ways in which you can look at an image, or there's so many different workflows that you can use in order to end up with an image or set of images that you're really passionate about. And one of our goals has always been to allow for that flexibility, so that anyone using our apps can really customize the workflow for themselves. So it's like everyone has their own facet. A facet, that makes sense. I don't know if that's actually what they intended, but my interpretation. So for the image reference feature, it's just one image. But one thing that you can do that I didn't quite touch on is you can actually train an image generation model. So like, for example, one of the models that I trained, I used these 9 images here as a training set. And what I can do is I can go over here, I can click custom models, and this is where I see them pop up. And this is where you can essentially use as many image references as you might want to. I have this model trained here for blue and pink beauty. One of the other trends Facet was looking at was the Kitsy kitchen trend, where we generated all of these images here. And then I found it fascinating, so I trained a model on that as well. And so what you can do is you can actually combine different models also. It's a little unclear exactly how models will interact together sometimes, but I think that's the fun part of AI giving you results that are super unexpected that you would have in no way thought of beforehand. It's definitely a mix. So we have our own algorithms where we've really tried to customize the image generation process. Especially one thing you might notice is the outputs from Facet versus other image generation tools is a lot more photorealistic. So we have built out our own pipelines. But of course, we're early stage startup. We definitely want to take advantage of open source tools that are out there. So a mix. It's not style transfer. It's this process called LoRa's. So essentially what I could do is I could, let's say I wanted to train a model on these images. I can select them all. I can right click and I can say train custom model, where the AI will pick up on the color palette, the different styles, composition, etc. I can name it, green model. Click train, and in a few minutes, your model is ready to go. It's not style transfer, but if you're looking for a style transfer, in the editor, we have a feature called style transfer. So we have both.